what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Laur reaction. Today we have Cries of Viyella. I've already heard Viyella's Destiny before, and I don't know which one technically comes first, but this one was requested by St. Beppis and my executive producers, and just per the average lineup of how I get to songs, this happens to be which one shows up next. So sorry if I'm listening to these out of order. I don't think that there would be like a one-to-one story, at least not narratively, that I would have to know, but I am going to be listening to this one, and I will be listening to the 2024 remaster off camera, so I will talk about that too and compare them afterwards, but I'm only going to watch the one just so I can get the overview of the song before I talk about it. So without further ado, let's go. I'm actually kind of surprised because this video is uploaded in 2023 and then there's a remaster a year later. But that doesn't mean that the song was released then. Could be a decade old for all I know. I do have a soft spot for music boxes. See, now we're into it. But where's it gonna go? Ooh, it took a step back. Constant arpeggiating scales. Laur loves that. There's those infamous Euro trance synths. Okay. This has about the same energy as the last one. A little bit shorter. But always beautiful with the motif work in these. Constantly, Laur is bringing in really cool sounding motifs that just feel like they belong to something so much grander than one track. Okay, so after listening to the remaster version, basically the main differences are what seems to be either new instruments or just way better mixed instruments within the original. I feel like there are so many things that might have gotten lost with the original mix, and that's probably why they decided to redo that and just, again, remaster it. Makes a lot of sense. There's a few new things as well, sound design wise. Nothing really that affects the song itself, just little like atmospheric stuff, especially in the beginning with that music box thing. There's a lot of sound effects that are supposed to support that, and they do that in the original as well, but they added a couple of extra ones, or at very least, again, richened them so I could actually hear them. The original one, they were definitely there. It was just a little bit more of like a hit or miss on whether you could actually hear any specific sound that was kind of buried in the rest of it, and that just, it happens, you know? You're going to improve, you're going to change your flavor when you come to mastering, when you're making anything. Oh, after a while, you are going to get better. So I think that's just what happened here. Laur was like, you know what? I could do better. And they did that, and that's great. So not really too much difference otherwise. It was just mostly that. Mostly technical things, and nothing really worth noting on a change in the song itself. But the song itself does the Laur thing. And I say the Laur thing as if I've heard a lot of Laur things, but it's out of the few I've heard, this is something that Laur likes to do, which is make these weird sharp minor, especially chords and keys, sound so huge, but also using the bare minimum in them. And that's just how it works, right? So for this one, we have C sharp minor. It's kind of where the song is rooted. That's the key as far as I am aware. And then the pattern progressions that play here are C sharp minor, A, B, and it's C sharp minor, A, G sharp. So there's a lot of that in the entirety of the song. That's kind of most of it. Like you could, you know, just kind of play around with roughly whatever patterns were happening in the song, but that's roughly what was going on in this song. But then there's also ones where it like kind of takes the G sharp here and goes down to F sharp minor, and then it kind of comes back up and it settles back in. There's a lot of that. That's pretty much the whole song right there. Varying patterns of that on the keyboard. There is a spot that made me laugh almost when I was figuring it out, because this happens. I know that it's done to add tension, obviously, but at the same time, it's kind of funny to hear that sort of a back and forth, and then it does still go back down. So like just right in the center there, we have 3 notes that are nice and crunchy that fight against each other within those notes there. And it's just like, again, this is really fucking cool. What I mean with like the Laur thing is just basically this sort of progression. There we go. And it's just how dark it sounds. Laur really likes to settle into these dark tones and makes their songs around that sound, which is totally cool by me. It's not like I'm trying to say it's a bad thing. It's just a characteristic of their writing that I've come to appreciate, actually, because there's so much you can do with that sound, that darker tone, that I feel like a lot of people are just afraid of. And as Laur showed in the very beginning, you can still do these like very like poignant, beautiful pieces with it as well. You can make it almost sound like a lullaby, something that's a little bit sweeter if you're careful about it. But at the same time, when you start to really just crank into the song, utilizing the keys and the chords that you have, it is going to be way darker and way harder to get out of that sound. But when you individualize the notes and keep them all solo, you can make something that truly sounds not just haunting in itself, but sweet and almost kind to a degree, something that would put you to sleep. Just in a standard minor key would do that, but there's something about the way that Laur uses sharp minor keys and how they write their main melodies in a lot of their like solo bits, like at the beginning of this one, that just feels so much more like they're trying to lull you into a false sense of security before bashing you in the head with everything else that's happening in the song. And that's a really cool quality of them as an artist. So I really like that sound in general. It's just funny to me that this is like the 3rd or 4th time that I've heard them do that. And you can start to pick up patterns when you're listening to music and specific musicians as much as I do. So that's kind of what's happening here. I'm just hearing these very specific qualities and I'm really liking them, but also I'm starting to notice them every single time I'm listening. And it does make it a little bit easier to talk about once I'm familiar with somebody's work. So this one, even though it is similar to the other Viyella song that I heard, it's definitely different. It's not going for the exact same sound, the exact same emotion. It's borrowing some of that same tone, which is totally sensible when you're working for the same character when you're writing a song, just like I assume that both of these are based on Viyella being in the title. So I can only assume that that's the case, and it totally tracks. And again, the tone is so familiar to that one. And that's something you should totally do. You should totally have this like through line of narrative consistency when you're writing a song for a character, even if it's different tracks. You have to have not just the motif work, which is something that I love about Laur, and that's kind of what the intro is for me. It's something that's so strong and it has such a rock solid identity to it that you can carry it into other tracks. And I'm not sure if Laur has done that with other Viyella songs or if I just feel like it sounds similar and not necessarily the same, but they might have used a part of this or a part of the other song in this one. And maybe that's why it sounds so familiar to me for some odd reason. But I, again, don't really know how deep this specific rabbit hole goes with Viyella. I don't really even know who Viyella is. I just know that it's kind of an identity or a character because I saw her in the last video. So it all kind of starts to figure itself out over time. Similar to how I start seeing little consistencies between an artist's work the longer I listen to them. You just kind of start instinctively piecing stuff together. But either way, I think I've yapped about this song enough, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to get to something else from Laur or anyone else, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you want to guarantee something, much like St. Beppis did for this one, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships where you can force me to listen to something. Doesn't matter what it's from, who it's by, if it's good or bad, none of that matters. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!